This video is going to talk about how we put our new plug-and-play units with the new DXM2 control and how we're going to accomplish a waterside analysis on these units so we can take our HE or HR readings. There's a couple little things that are different with these new units. So, a couple things. With the plug-and-play, again, the optional, whether or not you got the vFlow pump, variable speed pump, or you've got the modulating valve. Now, with the variable speed pump, if the pump is running between 50 and 90%, we should be able to get a feedback signal from the pump on our thermostat or our service tool so that we can actually read our GPM. If it is outside of that range, or we have a modulating valve, we're going to have to take a pressure drop reading at the unit in order to convert that then to GPM. To do that, we're going to need a digital tire pressure gauge, and we're going to be using our pressure ports here right at the front of the unit to measure our pressure drop, because again, with our plug-and-play units, the pump or the valve is internal in the unit, and we cannot measure pressure drop at our conventional PT ports that have been installed for years on our geothermal heat pumps. So we're going to have to use a digital pressure gauge when we run into that kind of a situation. Again, when the pump speed is outside of the range of 50 and 90%, and if we have the modulating valve. Now, also, a couple things on either the communicating thermostat or the service tool. We're going to have to put it into the installer configuration if it's the thermostat, or as soon as you plug in the service tool, you'll have the menu options there. So here we've got a thermostat. So I'm going to go ahead and now put this into the installer configuration. And again, to do that, everything needs to be turned off from the standard thermostat screen, and then we depress the up and down arrows at the same time. Okay, so here's our installer settings now. And once we get our installer settings up here, we're going to scroll down to the service mode. And again, if you got the service tool, you have two options, and again, one of them will be service mode. So we go down here to service mode, and we're going to select it with our center button here. And the first option is manual operation. Again, with the plug-and-play units here with the DXM2 controls, we're going to go into manual operation in order to set this unit up properly so that we can set our airflow, our water flow, and then of course we'll get our delta T off of the screen there so that we can do our waterside analysis. Again, HEHR. Again, HEHR is our delta T, temperature difference from our water in to water out, times our water flow in gallons per minute, times a fluid factor. Again, the fluid factor is going to be 500 for just plain water, 485 if it's antifreeze. So we're now going to go into manual operation. And manual operation, we can give it a direct call. Y1, Y2. Again, anytime we got a two-stage compressor, we always want to get it running in its highest capacity as far as compressor speed. And then we can go down to ECM airflow and actually dial in the airflow to the airflow that's in our specifications. We happen to have a TZ036 model here today that we're working with. And our specified airflow for this unit is 1050 CFM. So I'm going to go ahead and arrow down here to ECM airflow to start with it. Oops, I overshot there. We'll select it. And now I'm going to run this up until I get, again, to 1050 CFM. And now once I get 1050 CFM, I'm going to select it. And we should have the blower come on here momentarily. The blower now has started. I'm going to move down to now. We happen to have a variable speed pump in this TZ36. And I cannot go in there. Again, this is a 3-ton heat pump, and our specifications call for 9 gallons per minute water flow. I cannot go in here and directly give it 9 gallons per minute as far as a set point, but I can play around with the pump speed until I get either right at 9 gallons per minute or very close. So I'm going to go ahead and select the pump speed, and I'm going to raise it up. On this particular job with the loop we have, I'm going to start out in the vicinity of about 60%, and we'll see what our water flow is. And we may have to adjust that up higher or bring it down lower once we see what our water flow is. And I'll show you that here momentarily. 60% here. I overshot just a minute. We'll select it now. Now, we've selected our airflow and we've got our pump running. I'm going to back out of the manual operating mode just one screen. If I back out 2 screens, it'll shut everything off. Under manual operation, the next option down is controlled diagnostics. I'll go ahead and select it. The first screen gives us our physical inputs. The next screen gives us our thermistor readings and our airflow. There you can see our 1050 CFM. But the next screen there will give us our pump screen. Again, our pump speed that I chose was 60%. And again, if the pump is running between 50 and 90%, it'll give us a feedback signal that we can accurately read. And it shows our water flow in this case is only 5.7. So I'm a bit low. I need to go a little higher. So I'm going to back out of here and go back to the manual mode. And I'll go back down, arrow down to the pump speed. And I'm going to select it again. And I'm going to run this up. In this case, I'm going to see what happens at just under 80% pump speed. Let's just see where we're at. See if we can get pretty close to where we need to be. So I'm going to select 78%. And then again, we'll arrow back out one screen, go down to our controlled diagnostic screen. Again, that arrow to the right to our pump screen, and we'll get a minute just to stabilize here. And I am very close, it looks like, to my 9 gallons per minute flow. I'd be very comfortable again using this 78% pump speed on this particular installation is giving me 9.2 gallons. So I will now leave my water flow there. I'm happy with it. It's staying pretty consistent now at 9.2. I'll arrow back out to the menu mode, or manual mode. And we will now start the compressor. Now we're going to give it a Y1, a Y2, and an O call. Again, O call is our reversing valve for cooling. And again, we'll go back into controlled diagnostics. And we'll let this stabilize a little bit. Again, we've got thermistors inside this unit attached to our water in and our water out. Again, we've got to let that run for a good 15-20 minutes to get to a steady state. Again, those sensors have to kind of soak in, if you will, to the temperature of that pipe so that we get an accurate reading. All right, we've been running now for a good 15-20 minutes now. As you can see here on our screen, our entering water now is 90.2, and our leaving water is hovering right about 99.9 degrees here. So now those will be our delta T for our water side. We already got our flow rate, again at 9.2. Again, our airflow, we've got it already set at 1050 as the specification book said. So now let's go ahead and put this on the worksheet and see how this unit's performing. All right, as you can see from the worksheet, this TZ036 is performing to specifications, and no other further troubleshooting would have to be done to this unit. Again, in order to do proper water side analysis on these plug-and-play units, you must have either that service tool or the communicating thermostat as we use today.